Well, hey guys, this is Spiffy Guy. One of the things I like to do while gardening is to use containers. But all containers suffer from kind of the same problem, is that they need to be watered quite a bit. From the grow bags over to the 5-gallon buckets and just the regular containers, they all need to be watered. Now you can get some that have a reservoir in it, like this patio picker, but unfortunately they're about $35. So on this episode of Around the Home, we're going to build ourselves a wicking container. Alright, so this project is pretty easy and can be done fairly cheap. What we're going to use for our containers is my favorite, the 55-gallon drums here. I picked these up off of Craigslist from a guy for about $15, and we're going to make 2 wicking beds. So far I'm basically $7 on each. Alright, we're also going to need, here, let me move this around here. We're going to need some sand for in the bottom, and you're going to need some sort of shade cloth or weed barrier that's water permeable so the water can seep through. And to make the voids in the bottom, we're going to use some corrugated sewer pipe. So let's get to it. So the first thing you want to do is take your barrel here and clean it out really good. You can do this either before, so you can roll it around in the yard and really get it clean, or you can do it afterwards. But regardless, we're going to want to find the halfway point on this barrel, and we're going to cut it in half. This little top here is called a bung. The hole it goes in is called a bung hole. And my name is Bung Julio. Now the bung itself has some specialized fittings on it. You can buy a tool that goes into this. You can also use a pair of pliers and just get your handles in there to tighten and loosen. We want to make sure both these are going to be super tight, because this is going to be our bottom and we don't want any leaks. Okay guys, now that we've got our barrel cut in half, we need to put our void in the bottom. That's where our water is going to sit. Now there's a couple different things you can do. I'm going to use this corrugated sewer pipe. This is for like gutters. It has holes cut in it already, so the water will weep through that and get on our wicking material and come up into our bed. This is a 10-foot section, and it was I think $4 at Home Depot. So I'm going to cut it in half, and then we're going to swirl it inside of our little containers here. Now you could use anything you want. You could put some of the gravel in there. I got some river pebbles just in case I need to fill some small pockets. You could put in anything you want that's going to be large and create a lot of holes for that water to sit, because that's the whole point, is we want a lot of water in the bottom so we don't have to water as much. So I'm going to cut this in half and we'll get it swirled in. Alright, so with our void hose cut, I'm going to set that in there. And I'm going to put some rocks in some of the in one of the little corners. But before I do that, I want to cut my my fill pipe. Okay, and I'm using 1-inch PVC for this. You can buy a 10-foot section of this for I think like $3 or $4, and it'll definitely cover this project and more. So you just want to measure all the way from the bottom, and stick it up just a little bit, so it's going to be above your soil, and you can fill it up. So we'll go ahead and cut that, and then we're also going to want to notch the end here. You're either going to want to do a little square cut, or you're going to want to angle it, and that way it's not sitting flat on the ground in the container, because if it sits flat, your water may back up in your pipe and not disperse throughout your container. So you want to put a little notch in there so the water can come out. Alright, this is what one of the fill pipes look like. I made mine 19 inches long, and you can see on the end here that I just cut a bevel off, and that way when it sits in our tube, water will be able to flow out. So we just need to cut a little groove right here, and we'll insert our pipe. We've got our void hose in here, but we also want to make sure that we have an output drain. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to drill a hole on the side here about 6 inches up, and we want to put that on the opposite side of where we're going to put our fill pipe. Okay, so we'll put the fill pipe on one side, and then directly across we're going to drill in a hole to put in our drain. Okay, so you can see here's my drain pipe. That's 1/2 inch PVC, and I put some of my weed block fabric around there and stuffed it into this 7/8 hole, and it seems like it'll stay pretty good. And you can see that we're just right above the our little tube there for our void, and we want to have the fabric on the inside to keep sand and stuff from plugging it out and to keep soil from draining out. So we're good there. Now what we need to do is we're going to go ahead and cover this whole thing with weed block fabric, okay? That way we get our entrance here covered, okay? All right, so we have our fill pipe down into our void tube, which is wrapped around here like a little snail. We've covered it with some of this this weed block fabric. You could use shade cloth, whatever you have that you want to use. And we filled this void over here with some rocks, just to kind of get a nice level across. Now make sure that your shade cloth can go all the way down here in the middle. You see how it's kind of coming up over here? So I'm going to get it pushed down here in the middle, and then I'm going to do a second piece going across the top. We want to make sure that we're not getting sand and any of our wicking material or soil down into our void there. So I'm going to put a second one across here and get it all nice and tight along the edges. All right, there's a variety of products that you can use for wicking, and they make like a specific wicking sand, I believe. I'm just using cheap all-purpose sand, and what I did is I cut it with a 50-50 mix of peat moss, and that'll give me a little bit more water retention and you know, not be entirely all sand, and so hopefully that'll wick up. So once we've got our wicking layer down, we want to go ahead and put a nice little layer, maybe an inch or two of hay on top of here, and then on top of that we'll go ahead and put our soil. Alright guys, so here's the finished product. Still waiting to put some soil mixture in. I need to go pick up some more compost so I can mix up the soil mix I like. Be sure to check out a past video on the new soil mix that I used on the garden barrel. That's the same soil mix I'm going to put in here, which is essentially Mel's mix. But that's about it. We have the layer of hay, we have the layer of the sand and the peat moss, and then our void at the bottom. Now we ended up using a whole bag on each planter, and so that's about 50 pounds right there, plus the rock, plus, you know, a little bit of weight for the you know, parts and that sort of thing. So we definitely want to put some handles on it. So what I did here is I just drilled a couple holes, and I have this old sisal rope, and I used a piece of 1/2-inch PVC on either side, you know, just some scrap I had lying around. So, and I painted that up, and I'll probably go ahead and paint these planters the same color as well. I'm using a Rust-Oleum. I got it at Home Depot. They didn't have the Fusion, Krylon Fusion, so maybe it'll last a little bit more. But that's about it. So you just need to put whatever soil you want in there and start planting. Let's do a quick test, and we'll fill it up with some water and see if it comes out the drain. Just to show you this here, that it's wicking up, I just filled it up, and this soil I dug down here, and this soil is already pretty wet. So I'm digging this. This is going to be very cool. It'll be a fun project. We're going to get some fall planting on there. One other thing I would suggest adding is right at the top here, put a little bit of a screen across there. Just because you know, bugs and mosquitoes and stuff could fly down there and plant some larvae in your little planter here. I did the same on the patio picker with just a piece of screen and actually a hair tie. I didn't even use a rubber band because rubber bands will degrade with the UV. Alright guys, so there is 2 cheap planters that are wicking beds. This is going to be great. We're going to go ahead and plant these up in the fall. So if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them below, or stick them up on the Facebook page. And until next time, remember, life's an adventure, so go out and have one. To start off, we're going to make 2 wicking containers, and we'll wait for the truck to go by. This little top right here is called a dropping. Our void, and we'll fill it, we'll